Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at Griswold. Griswold is a kind of forgotten, she came out months ago. I can't really call her forgotten. But in terms of the on-the-road releases, I'd say that she's one of the ones that you don't exactly think about at the very first second, even though there's maybe 10 2022 on-the-road releases. She's not brought up often, and neither is her short. In terms of all the shorts that in Cars on the Road, you have the Dinosaur Park, you've got Lights Out, the Haunted Mansion, you've got the Salt Flats. Of course, no one can forget the Salt Flats. You've got you've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 diecast from that episode, which is just absurd. Not that I'm complaining. Clown episode, you can't forget the clown episode. It's kind of hard to forget Trucks with that catchy song. B-Movie, got some, B-Movie is also another kind of iconic episode. Can't forget Road Rumblers, and I guess Getting Hitched is kind of on the line. But in my opinion, the one that people are going to be forgetting about the most, and the one that I kind of forget about the most, or I guess not forget about, the one I kind of think about the least has to be the Bigfoot Hunters episode, and that is the episode where Griswold appears. It was a pretty cool episode, and there's only 6 different cars. Is that right? Yeah, 6 different cars that appear on that episode that I think are going to be released as diecasts, not including variants, because I do think down the line we will see like a Monster Hunter McQueen, a Monster Hunter Mater, but I don't know of any possible release of those guys coming, so maybe they'll be released, but I'm going to assume that they will try to do those within the next few years. So this is counting characters. We got Mater, we got McQueen. Ivy is a deluxe. Of course, they canceled the deluxes, but I'm sure they're going to find a way to make Ivy when she's probably the 3rd main character of the show. Maybe Cruz and Mattel are the only ones that could kind of compare to her for that slot. You have Clutch Humboldt, another deluxe who appears in this episode, who is kind of in a similar situation to Ivy. Ivy got a mini racer, the only really where Mattel's going to make him is probably as a mini racer, if even that. If you do want him, they'll have to either put him in a 2-pack like they did with Red. Maybe they'll make a deluxe 2-pack, because they can do it. They saw them do it with Red, and maybe they'll put him in a multi-pack. I'm not really sure. And then we got Griswold, who they did make. Interesting choice to start it off, and I'm happy about it. Margaret Motoray, she could be a single. She might come this year. She might not. I'm not sure. And I think that's it. You do have a couple random cars on the road, but funny pun there. I highly doubt they're going to get made. So Griswold is the only car from this episode to get made, and being that it was a kind of unmemorable episode itself, even though it's when they meet Ivy, the scheme they pull on the hunters was pretty awesome. I don't know how iconic Griswold's really gonna be. And I think they chose the lamest of the monster hunters to release in this episode, because I'm sure the majority of you have already heard or seen or even noticed this yourselves, but Griswold is basically Bill Revs with some equipment on them. So you can see they're almost exactly the same color. Bill Revs is a little bit more orange, Griswold is a little bit more brown, and Bill Revs is also a little bit of a brighter color. Do have a slightly different expression. I don't know how they make it different. Griswold's smile is wider. And she got a little bit of different eyes. They're a little bit more curved, whereas Bill's, it's straight, then you get to the curve. See that they've even got the same wood paneling. Bill does have brown wheels, rims rather, whereas Griswold has silver rims. Griswold does have dirty brown tires though, which Bill does not have. Rear, nothing too crazy. Griswold doesn't have any equipment back there. And then on the side, you can see there is the Cryptid Hunter logo on both sides of Griswold. She has kind of a suitcase full of luggage, kind of similar to a van, but of course a van is much bigger. So here's Motor Turner, the only other car of the same model. There's Bill Revs, Motor Turner, and the Griswold. So here's where she is with Motor. Same model as Bill, but blue, and she's also lacking the wood paneling. She has some kind of camera right here. It's kind of similar to, I guess, like a Studs McCurdle camera, but to a much, much smaller scale. She's got a light not only up top, but also one. Is that a light? That might be a reflector. I'm not quite sure, but one of these is a light, one of these might be a reflector. They might both be lights. I'm not exactly sure. It kind of made me think at first of Galloping Gear Grinder, but I noticed that she doesn't really have any lights on her. And she has like the front lights here, I guess, which are kind of alike, but not exactly in the same spot. Are the eyes the same color? They are slightly different. It looks like Griswold's are a little bit more green. Bill's are a little bit more brown. So she has all this fancy equipment. She's got the camera, the light / reflector. She's got the thing up top, and then she's also got a microphone. It's basically the Biz Torxon microphone, but it's the microphone itself is like twisted to the twisted sideways, which is interesting. That is how it appears in the short, or the episode rather. So interesting. A whole lot of interesting stuff about Griswold. And the microphone does attach to her like middle window instead of the wheels or like the front of the rim like most of the other microphone cars do. So yeah, that's Griswold in a nutshell. Pretty cool. In the movie, she did have night vision goggles at one point. There was a point where she didn't have night vision goggles, so this is still an accurate diecast, to my knowledge. But she did have night vision goggles like on top of her, or either on top of her or on her sometime in the movie. So it was basically these, but I think they were black instead of green. And here she is with the normal McQueen. Of course, not the Cryptid Hunter McQueen that she appeared in with, or that appeared in most of the episode. The normal On the Road McQueen did appear in some parts. And then here's Linda Weathers. This is the King. Not really the same, but a station wagon. There's not that many station wagons that have been released within the Cars universe, but they always look good. And that is Griswold. So as I said, I think this is going to be a future kind of forgotten release, unless they release her again. Actually, she's in the card back of a 2023 car, so I believe she might be getting released again in 2023. So maybe that'll kind of bring some relevance back. But as I said, that is kind of a forgotten episode, and this is probably the lamest of the Monster Hunters, but it's still a very cool diecast. Very happy to have it. Got this for Christmas again. I did kind of go over it in my Christmas haul video, similar to Griswold, who also got a singular video. That smile is just really well done, in my opinion. It matches the voice of the car. If you watch the episode, the voice really does match her like design, and also does kind of match like the character's personality, like being that weird voice. I believe I looked up the voice actor for Griswold, and she had also worked in like Bob's Burgers and stuff, so she's got a pretty wide resume of doing some wild voices. So I think they made a pretty good casting choice for Griswold. And yeah, pretty much it. As I've said, I believe plenty of times, Griswold, pretty awesome. Yet also kind of boring at the same time. It kind of bounces back and forth based on like what part of the car you're looking at. Like if you're looking at the back, so it's Bill Revs, you're gonna be like, oh, that's kind of bland. If you're looking at the side, it's kind of neutral, and then you're looking at the front, it's like, wow, they're totally different. So just like there's a lot of variation going on and how I feel about Griswold, but right now I'm feeling pretty good about her. So thank you guys for watching. This is the end of the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.